Okay, good evening to everyone. Magandang gabi sa inyo. Again, I'm really very happy to be here. It took me a while to actually find the building, and I was imagining it to be really a library. Na obvious na pagkita mo sa building, nakalagay library. Of course, I realized that it's inside the building, Anyway, as mentioned, I teach theology in the Ateneo, but I'm actually a fairly new teacher. I began teaching around 6 years ago, but I've been working with young people for more than 20 plus years now. I began in 1987 as a youth minister doing campus ministry work all over the Philippines. I was part of a organization called Christ Youth in Action. I'm still part of that, as I'm a member of the board of trustees. And so I began when I finished my studies, I decided to become a missionary, and I did missionary work for a number of years. So the past 6 years, I've been a little bit more stable, doing teaching in the Ateneo and teaching theology for fourth-year students. So normally, pag-graduate na yung Atenista, ako yung nagpapaalam sa kanila. Sana maalala niyo ang Diyos, parang ganyan na course. So I give them a final theology course. Okay, let's proceed with this evening's presentation, the foundation and the cornerstone. If you really think about it, when you think about life and think about stability, none of you here, I think, would wake up in the morning and say, I want my life today to be crazy. No? Gusto ko magulo. Baka meron sa inyong ganyan, no? I think a normal person would often, even in the craziness of our life as young professionals, with all the deadlines, all the requirements, all the things that you need to do for your family, for your friends, I think all of us, amidst this chaos, really, deep in our hearts, we would like to find some kind of anchor, some kind of stability. And stability is that image that we often dream of. When things are crazy, you want to go to a quiet place and just stay and do nothing, and be at peace. There's this famous passage when Jesus actually speaks about this, but he speaks about it in a very radical way, because he says that if you're looking for some kind of stable ground, I am your stable ground. Now, of course, I'm speaking to people here who probably have some kind of belief in God, or maybe at some point in your life you heard a theology course, or you had attended a religion class. So it's not new for you to hear this idea that Jesus Christ can be a cornerstone or a source of stability for one's life. It's not too shocking. But I think if you were a Jew and during the time of Jesus, you were just an ordinary person and you met this man, and he is as ordinary as you. Suddenly, you talk to him and you hear him, then he tells you out of the blue, you know what? If you're looking for some kind of stability in life, I'm the one you're looking for. It might not be shocking, but for a Jew during that time, they knew that only God could make a statement like that. Let me read to you a passage in the Gospel of Matthew chapter 7, wherein he says, Jesus is speaking to the crowd, He says, everyone then who hears these words of mine and does them will be like a wise man who has built his house on the rock. The rain fell and the floods came and the winds blew and beat on the house, but it did not fall because it had been founded on the rock. And everyone who hears these words of mine and does not do them will be like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. The rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it. Now, if you are somebody who lived in the Middle East during that time, you would understand these words practically, because they were living in a desert. And for them to build a house, they had to dig very deep to make sure that they would hit a strong foundation. And that image of a strong, stable ground, and the stability of the ground is even proven when things go crazy. He's even saying, you know what? This thing will stand even amidst the storm. It's an amazing claim. And if you think about that, many people who have a strong belief in Christianity and the perspective of God would often declare something very similar. Benedict XVI said something like this: "We have come to believe in God's love." In these words, the Christian can express the fundamental decision of his life in this idea of love. Being Christian is not the result of an ethical choice or a lofty idea, but the encounter with an event, a person, Jesus Christ, who gives life a new horizon and a decisive direction. Benedict says, if you were to summarize Christianity and look at it as a way of life, a way of living, then the fundamental truth is it's encountering Jesus Christ. And if you encounter this man and believe in him, your life has a definite aim. You know where you would go. Sounds the same as stable, founded on something that does not change. And who is this Jesus Christ? I mean, we know him, we've heard about him. He's not a stranger to all of us. But let's reflect a while and think about his ordinariness, you might say. But in his ordinariness, we would also be shocked at how amazing and how great his impact is in human history. If you look at the fundamental idea of who he is, he's a classic example of somebody who should have been forgotten. Came from an ordinary family, lived in a place which was not so special. During his time, it was Rome and several other superpowers around who was really the main superpower of the world, the known world at that time. He belonged to an ethnic group who also had a religion called the Jewish religion. And they were being persecuted by people, and many wanted to get rid of them. He was part of that ethnic group. And within that ethnic group, this man who is a Jew came and started talking to people, and most likely the towns that he visited were not very big. The biggest village and town during that time would probably be 100,000 people. That's already big. That's already a city. 100,000, just to give you an idea, is just the number of people going to a major Jollibee in Metro Manila. Ganyong karami lang yon. And here is this man who went around, started talking to people, preaching about God and who God is. And amidst this proclamation, people started following him, but he got into trouble because the religious leaders and the political leaders were envious of the kind of influence he had. He was betrayed by a friend, and in the process he was falsely accused as somebody who was a rebel, and he was convicted falsely, and he was crucified as a criminal. And he was crucified because crucifixion was the worst punishment you could give to somebody who practiced treason. No? And that's the best way you could remind people, if you decide to rebel against the government, this is what will happen to you. I mean, combined together, historians said that should be the end of the story of this man. He should have been forgotten. And yet from this experience, from this human life, people who followed him claimed that they saw him alive again, that they talked to him. And from the small band of believers, and everybody again wanted to get rid of them, this group of believers in this man called Jesus Christ. And in a span of 300 years, the small band of people who were persecuted, many of them died for what they believed in. After 300 years, they became the predominant religion of the known world. Many historians would look back and say, that is an unusual story. From a certain perspective, you then say, this ordinary man, what made him extraordinary? Well, the simple truth is, this is the only religion, Christianity is the only religion that makes this bold proclamation that God is also man. That this man walked around the first century and started acting and speaking as if he was God. One classic story was he was gathered in this room when he was starting to talk to people, and they brought a paralytic inside. And for them, the Jews, it was very clear that sickness was equal to sin. You know, that there's something wrong with you and God, that's why you are sick. And here comes Jesus Christ, sees this paralyzed man, and immediately makes a simple statement. My son, your sins are forgiven. And people were shocked, because only God could forgive sins. They knew that. So when Jesus felt that they were asking questions in their head, Jesus said, which is easier? For me to tell this man to walk, or to forgive his sins? Of course, the obvious answer is both. Because only God could make him walk, and only God could forgive his sins. So what did he tell everybody there? He told the paralytic, take up your pallet and walk. And people were amazed at that. This man who claimed to be God, some people, C.S. Lewis, a profound philosopher, theologian, great Christian writer, once speculated and analyzed this bold claim. He said, this is one of the boldest claims any human being has ever said in this world. For someone to say, he is God. If somebody says he is God, he's either he's crazy. Well, just imagine today, somebody telling you, I am God. I'm really God. You can pray to me. I mean, even now, it's crazy. Even then, it was crazy. Because the Jews themselves understood God as the creator of the universe. The one who created something out of nothing. And here is this God, here is this man who was totally like them, acting and speaking as if he was God. Either he was crazy, or maybe he knew what he was saying was actually not true, so he was a liar. Diba? He was just trying to create this nice religion. Right? But the problem is, what is shocking is C.S. Lewis also understood, but the story does not end in him admitting that he is a liar, because at a certain point, what he was saying and what he was doing ended up costing him his life. This death was a death because he was telling people, he was giving people a message. And this message was out of this world. So, if you really think about it, well, the option is, maybe he was crazy. So we are following this religion from a crazy man. But at the same time, it is hard to hold on to that sort of speculation, because from this religion has come many of the profound ethical systems of the known world. Many of the values we hold, even in the secular field, come from ideas coming from the Christian religion. So it could not have come from a crazy man. So the option we are now facing is, he was probably just a great liar. But then he died for something he knew was a lie? Very unlikely. So we are now faced with what the early Christians obviously declared. He is either God or he's not. But the Christian religion makes quite a clear declaration. He is God. And this truth of him being God is then the foundation of the Christian religion. That this man who is also God is the one we could give our lives to. And you might say that if you base your life on a reality that is God, then you are on solid ground. On Christ, the solid rock, I stand. All other ground is a sinking sand. C.S. Lewis puts it beautifully. This man who was a former atheist at some point in his life ended up believing that the most logical and reasonable religion he's ever encountered is Christianity, made a declaration at the tail end of his life. And he said this: I believe in Christianity as I believe that the sun has risen. Not only because I see it, but because by it I see everything else. Oh, what a profound declaration. If you look at the world today, what's the value of a message like this? No? That there is this man who claims to be God, and there is this religion that says, in this religion you can find God, and you can have a relationship with Him. Well, if God is really found in this religion, a God who is always there and always present and does not change, I think we need a reality like that in our life. In this modern world where things change quickly, jobs disappear quickly, relationships disappear quickly, and many things come here and there quickly, and peace, stability, goodness, they disappear quickly. I think people are looking for some kind of certainty. The best image I could give you is this image of a story that I encountered because I met this young man who was in prison. Well, not in prison, in jail, because his life or his case is being tried. His name is Raymond Narag. He was a student accused of murder in a frat rumble. And I was counseling him because he attended a retreat wherein I was one of the retreat masters. So I had to visit him in jail. And in the jail, he was telling me, Raul, I should not be here. And I said, okay, but you're already here. So, anong gagawin natin? And he said, I will go crazy here, Raul. Look, I'm about to graduate. I was dreaming of becoming a lawyer. Now, I'm not so sure if my case will be done quickly. Of course, deep in my heart, I knew that it would drag. And I said, and all the people here, some of them are real criminals. And I'm innocent. What do I do? And we're supposed to be 700 inmates here. But we are 2,500. How can I survive in a place like this? I will go crazy. And all I could tell him was this, Raymond, magdasal na lang tayo. Huwag kang mag-alala, bibisitahin kita. Pero sa loob-loob ko, is that enough? Really? Can he really make it inside this place? After a few months, I come back. And this time he's smiling. He said, oh, you know what? God wanted me to be here. What? Sabi ko, sandali lang, time out. Oh, pause. You seem to be very happy. Yeah. God wanted me to be here. I've been praying, thinking about Christ in my life. And because of that, I started talking to my fellow inmates. I realized there is so much need here. Some of the people here have not even finished high school. And so I decided to organize a small school here. I talked to people in UP. They come here to teach. And we are now about to give diplomas. If we do this enough, I think we will be able to help people graduate in high school inside the jail. God wanted me to be here. After another year, after a few years, I come back. And again, he's very happy. He said, congratulate me. I accomplished another thing. I said, what did you accomplish now? And he said, well, Raul, I am now the mayor of this jail. Wow, that's amazing. You're the mayor of this jail. And the story goes on till he was acquitted and he was scot-free. After that, he pursued a degree and he took up a master's in criminal justice. He just finished his doctorate and he's dreaming of coming back here to help prisoners like him, former inmates like him. He wants to help our country change our justice or penal system. And he became very popular in the U.S. because sometimes he would recite. I visited him there in the U.S. once, and he said, "Oh, I'm popular here because I recited once. You know, when I was in jail, after that I became a very popular student." And what's the point? Let me just make a few conclusions here. What is the mission of Christ? When he came into the world, he wanted us to hear a simple message. For even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve and give his life as a ransom for many. The cornerstone, Christ, would like to bring us back to God. Raymond, during the time of during his most challenging time in his life, during the time when he felt uncertain, he found his greatest stability amidst the greatest chaos in his life. Mainly because he accepted the simple truth that we are meant to surrender our life to this reality. The message of Christ is very clear. I am your solid ground. Jesus can be a little bit demanding and clear about his message. I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. Very clear. I am the solid ground. So in this Built to Last series, I hope that many of you will consider your faith in God in your life. Because this religion, Christianity, our Catholic faith, is a faith that makes a profound declaration. Amidst the uncertainties of our life, God would like to have some kind of connection with us. Because He is telling us that unless you build your house on rock, your house will fall. Because if not, you're just building on sand. And the message is very clear. Jesus Christ is really our solid ground. Okay, thank you very much.